At 32, Heejae's marriage was already colder than winter. For 10 years, she waited for love from Baek Doyoung, but all he gave her was silence, distance, and pain. Then the cruelest truth shattered her world. Another woman was carrying his child, while Heejae lost the one she had prayed for her entire life. That day, something inside her completely broke. But when she opened her eyes again, she was 10 years in the past, before she ever met him. This time, Heejae didn't return for love. She returned to destroy Baek Doyoung. But the man waiting for her was not the cold husband she remembered. A single, fragile thought echoes through Heejae's memories. I thought that someday, I would be loved. In a dimly lit room, she clings to Baek Doyoung, their connection feeling profound in the moment. But the intimacy fades as he walks away without a word, leaving her completely alone. She trembles against a wall, a hand pressed to her stomach. He was a cold man, but she had desperately believed their growing family would finally change him. Standing frozen outside a closed door, she hears the truth before she sees it, confirming her deepest fears. In a bittersweet memory, Heejae's voice is a fragile whisper, telling Baek Doyoung she loves him during their moment of closeness. His response is low and brief. Yeah, me too. But the warmth of their embrace vanishes in an instant. As soon as it's over, he rises from the bed without a backward glance. He walks out of the room, the door closing behind him, plunging Heejae into a sudden, crushing silence. She is left utterly alone, the echo of his hollow words hanging heavy in the dark. His question cuts through the silence, sharp and dismissive. What are you looking at? A cold wave crashes over Heejae. Her breath catches, and tears spill from her eyes as she stares at Baek Doyoung in another woman's embrace. The sight shatters the last of her hope. This moment was a month before she lost their expected future. Now, standing on the rooftop of Baekhyun construction headquarters, the wind howls around her. A man's frantic voice pleads for her to calm down, but his words are lost. The cityscape below blurs into a dizzying swirl. A man's voice cracks with desperation over the phone, pleading for someone to hurry. On the rooftop, the wind whips around Heejae as she turns to face the general manager. Her voice is chillingly calm as she asks how long he has known, how long he was aware of her husband's secret lover and her condition. He collapses to his knees, stammering that he never meant to deceive her. He offers empty comfort, saying she's young and can always start a family again. The words are a final, devastating blow. Utter emptiness washes over Heejae as she steps forward, leaning into the vast emptiness. Just as she gives in to the descent, a hand shoots out, clamping onto her wrist and yanking her back from the edge. It's Baek Doyoung, his face a mask of pure panic. He pleads with her to calm down, telling her he knows she's hurting. But his touch is a spark to dry tinder. A sharp sound echoes on the rooftop as her hand connects with his cheek. "Shut up," she screams, her voice breaking. How could she possibly be calm after losing the first true hope she's had in 10 agonizing years? He's not listening, just offering empty promises of another chance. But she's not falling for it anymore, vowing to cast away their entire decade together. A bitter memory surfaces. Heejae recalls the day it all began, thinking how she fell for him at first sight, a fool completely blind to the shadows he held. Since she was the one who started their ruinous path, she feels it is her right to be the one to close the final chapter. Back on the rooftop, her hair whips around her in the wind as she declares that this final choice will be hers alone. A horrified scream tears from Baek Doyoung's throat. He lunges, his hand clamping desperately around her wrist, begging her to stop. A cold memory surfaces. Baek Doyoung never once looked back at her when she begged him desperately in the past. So why? She wonders, does he wear that pained expression now? It doesn't matter. His feelings are no longer her concern. His grip finally fails, and his scream of no is swallowed by the wind. A shattering impact echoes from the ground below, followed by panicked shouts. As darkness closes in, Heejae's final thoughts crystallize. This wasn't to hurt him, it was her choice to fade away. Happy birthday, she thinks, a final vow forming in her heart. From now on, I won't ever love you. In a cascade of light, a new life begins. Heejae's eyes fly open with a sudden gasp. She sits up, dazed, staring at her own hands and questioning how she can still be here. The memory is crystal clear, the desperate descent from the 45th floor. But this isn't a hospital. She stumbles out of bed, her heart pounding as she recognizes the walls around her. This is her old room, the one she had before she married. On her desk, a phone suddenly lights up, and her hand trembles as she reaches toward it. Her fingers tremble as she snatches the phone. The screen glows, displaying a date that makes her blood run cold. March 24th. A younger, happier version of herself smiles back from the lock screen. It all floods her mind at once. She's traveled back 10 years, to the time before she ever met Baek Doyoung. Memories of their empty marriage ignite a dark fire within her soul. Her heart thunders, a war drum calling for retribution. A slow, chilling smile spreads across her face. This time, she thinks, it's my turn to ruin your life. In a luxurious high-rise, Baek Doyoung stares out at the glittering city lights while on the phone. A voice on the other end informs him of a blind date in a week's time, with a girl they've already chosen for him. Annoyance flashes across his face as he runs a hand through his hair, abruptly ending the call. His gaze lands on a framed picture of Heejae on his desk. A look of deep, sorrowful regret washes over him as he whispers to the photo, lamenting that she has to meet such a terrible man. The quiet clatter of chopsticks is the only sound at the dinner table until Heejae's mother announces that a marriage meeting has been arranged. The other party is Baek Doyoung, the second son of Baek Construction. Heejae's father immediately protests, arguing that she's about to graduate and her personality isn't suited for such things. As he speaks, a chilling smirk plays on Heejae's lips. She looks up, her eyes glinting with a hidden purpose, and calmly interrupts. "I'll go," she says. "I'll go to the meeting." Her mother stares in shock, but her father simply nods, calling it a good opportunity. Her mother notes that if things go well, their family might even be considered a major corporation. A shadow falls over Heejae's features as she stares into the darkness of her own thoughts, her expression cold and resolute, making a silent vow. A chillingly serene smile blossoms on her face. "He really does sound like a great match," she says, her voice smooth as silk. But beneath the pleasant facade, a venomous promise forms. The scene shifts to a gleaming skyscraper where a luxury car stops and Baek Doyoung emerges. In the quiet of the car, Heejae's mother looks over, her expression clouded with concern, asking if she is truly all right. Heejae turns, a serene smile gracing her lips as she lightly teases her mother for being nervous. But a bad feeling has troubled her mother all morning, an undeniable sense of dread she can't shake. Heejae simply dismisses the worry and steps out, promising she'll be back. As she walks alone towards the brightly lit entrance, her gentle facade falls away, replaced by cold resolve. She thinks of the task ahead, a necessary act that will finally set her heart free. Heejae enters the lavish restaurant, the light from a grand chandelier glinting above her. She gives the reservation name, Baek Doyoung. As a waitress leads her deeper inside, a chilling voice echoes in her thoughts, questioning if she's come to ruin her life a second time. A haunting memory of her past self, terrified and small, flashes before her eyes. The voice offers a final chance to run. "No!" Heejae cries out, her sudden shout startling the waitress. She clutches her head, overwhelmed as the phantom of her past confronts her resolve. A glass tumbles, and a cold splash of water soaks the front of Heejae's dress. The waiter apologizes frantically, but she quickly reassures him, taking the blame for her sudden stop. Just then, a deep voice cuts in. A man, Baek Doyoung, steps forward, offering her a handkerchief. His calm, dark eyes meet hers as he asks, "You're Chai Heejae, right?" The world seems to freeze. Her heart hammers in her chest as she stares into the face that haunts her dreams, a name echoing in her mind like a curse. It's him. Baek Doyoung's calm voice cuts through the tension as he suggests they move to the table. Her fingers tremble as they brush against his, accepting the handkerchief with a whispered, "Thank you." Once seated, he apologizes for their chaotic first meeting. As Heejae dabs her dress, a gentle, unfamiliar scent rises from the cloth. A soft, calculating smile touches her lips. She asks if he wears cologne. A faint blush warms his neck as he admits the willow fragrance is a personal favorite, his dark eyes suddenly intense with a hidden meaning. A bitter thought pierces the haze of memory. He's still running his mouth, saying things he doesn't even mean. The scene flashes back to a passionate night from their past. In a blur of motion, their forms are close as she whispers his name, telling him she loves him. His voice is a low rumble, demanding she say it again. Later, as they lie together, she asks softly if he changed his cologne. Baek Doyoung looks down at her, completely baffled. "What cologne?" he asks. Her voice is small as she clarifies, "The one from a year ago." The memory of his coldness floods her senses. Baek Doyoung admits he only wore that particular cologne to boring, tedious events. The words cut deep. He rises from their shared bed, his back turned to her as he pulls on a robe. With chilling indifference, he tells her to mind her own business and go to sleep, leaving her utterly alone. The vision shatters, pulling her back to the present. He leans forward, his voice now gentle. "Would you like to smell it properly?" A slow, calculated smile spreads across Heejae's face as she agrees. "Sure." Baek Doyoung extends his hand, offering his wrist to her. He explains softly that it's a scent meant to calm nervousness, hoping it might work for her. As Heejae leans closer, a wave of bittersweet nostalgia washes over her. She remembers how much she once loved this gentle side of him. But the memory quickly sours, replaced by the cold, hard truth. It was all just an act to conceal his true nature. A dark thought pierces through her composure. He moves to pour her a glass of wine, his voice smooth. "I just came to talk today, so relax." Heejae looks up, a flicker of surprise in her wide eyes. As Baek Doyoung pours the wine, the sleeve of his shirt pulls back, revealing a stark, unfamiliar mark on his wrist. Heejae's eyes fixate on it. A scar. Her mind flashes back through 10 years of marriage, a lifetime of memories, and finds nothing. He never had a scar like that before. A chilling realization dawns on her as another memory pushes forward, a hand, marked with that very scar, reaching for her on the day her first life ended. The man she married and this man are not the same. A terrifying question takes root. Who is this person sitting before her? Baek Doyoung's concerned voice cuts through her daze, asking if she is all right. Heejae startles, quickly covering her mouth as she apologizes. She explains her nervousness, admitting this is her first marriage meeting. He smiles with a disarming warmth and takes her hands, his touch gentle. He reassures her that it's all right. But as his fingers intertwine with hers, her mind races. This man is different. His face is the same, but his way of speaking, his behavior, everything is wrong. The man she knew was never this kind. A memory of her wedding day surfaces, a blur of hollow congratulations and empty smiles. Dressed in a flowing white gown, Heejae offers a polite thank you to a guest who wishes for her happiness. The memory of the man she had only met once fades, bringing her back to the present. Her gaze fixes on Baek Doyoung, a new determination in her eyes. "I'm curious about something," she begins. He prompts her to ask. With a steady voice, she mentions the ballet she heard he does, wondering aloud just how well he dances. A gentle smile graces Baek Doyoung's lips as he invites her to a performance at the end of the year, asking if she would like to watch. He hesitates, adding that she can forget he said anything if she is busy, but then he quickly interrupts himself. "No, I'd like to go," he says firmly, explaining it's a chance to learn more about her. A knowing look crosses Heejae's face. "That's nice to hear," she replies softly, thinking she feels the same. A memory floods her mind. A lone ballerina in a spotlight on a dark stage. That performance was the only time Baek Doyoung had ever seen her dance. The memory shifts to a shadowed man in the audience, offering hollow, polite applause that didn't suit him. A chilling thought grips her. Was that man really Baek Doyoung? A man with Baek Doyoung's sharp features and a confident smile asks Heejae to take good care of his younger brother. The memory strikes her with the force of a physical blow. She realizes she was fooled not just by her husband, but also by his identical brother, Baek Doyoung. It was him in the audience that day. Back in the present, they stand in a hotel room high above the city. "The 45th floor," she says aloud. The simple words trigger a painful memory of wind and tears, and the sudden fear of the height consumes her. Baek Doyoung's gentle voice breaks through her daze as he asks if she's afraid of heights. Baek Doyoung's brow furrows with gentle concern, and he suggests he should have arranged their meeting somewhere else. As he pours her a glass of wine, Heejae offers a soft, reassuring smile. "No, I'm not afraid at all," she murmurs, her voice like silk. "If I were, we never would have met." A look of genuine relief crosses his face as he agrees. Their glasses clink together in a delicate toast. But as Heejae sips her wine, her mind is a storm of suspicion. She must confirm if this man is truly his brother. "So," she begins smoothly, "you said you were curious about my dancing, right?" After their date, Baek Doyoung sits alone in his car, his hand tightening on the steering wheel. The encounter feels strange, profoundly unsettling. He questions if Heejae is truly a woman 5 years his junior. Her presence felt far more mature, like he was dealing with someone much older. The memory of her smile haunts him. While she appeared warm and inviting, Her gaze held a chillingly calm quality that was almost cold. Later, standing alone in his residence, he can't shake the profoundly unnerving feeling she left him with. In the dance studio, Heejae moves with a fluid, forgotten elegance. Her body arches, her hair sweeping through the air as muscle memory takes over. Baek Doyoung watches, his expression unreadable but his eyes fixed on her every motion. A quiet relief settles in Heejae's heart. She still remembers the steps. Her mind drifts to a time when ballet was her entire world. The thrill of the stage, the joy of performance. But the bright memory is quickly shadowed by the painful recollection of the injury that stole her future and ended her dreams. As Heejae finishes her dance, she notices Baek Doyoung watching from the doorway. A slight flush rises to her cheeks as she apologizes for not realizing he was there. He offers a gentle smile, telling her not to worry. He says if he'd known her performance would be so wonderful, he would have brought flowers. Instead, he presents a small, elegant bottle of perfume. Heejae's eyes widen in surprise. She places a hand over her heart, asking softly if it's a gift for her, completely taken aback by this unexpected act of kindness. Baek Doyoung explains that he remembered the scent from their blind date, choosing one with willow and citrus notes because he thought she liked it. Heejae is inwardly stunned. She only wore that perfume to boring events. The fact he remembered it so well is unsettling. She sprays the fragrance on her wrist. In an instant, Baek Doyoung leans in, his face just inches from hers, and asks if it's a scent she really likes. Heejae confirms it is, adding that no one wears a scent they hate. "I like it, thank you," she says with a polite smile. With a playful smile, Heejae asks if she can try the perfume on right now. A confident smirk touches Baek Doyoung's lips as he agrees. She lifts the bottle, but instead of her wrist, she spritzes the delicate fragrance across her collarbones. His eyes follow the motion, captivated. He leans closer, his voice a low murmur. "Last time, you let me smell your scent." In an instant, he closes the distance, his hand gently weaving into her hair as he leans into her neck. "Aren't you curious what mine smells like?" he whispers against her skin. Heejae forces a small, strained smile, trying to brush off the heavy atmosphere. "It's a joke," she says, "don't take it so seriously." Before she can react, Baek Doyoung surges forward, his hand clamping firmly around her wrist. He pulls her close, his expression a mask of raw anguish. His eyes search hers, filled with a desperate intensity as he presses her hand against his face. "What are you thinking about right now?" he asks, his voice low and strained. Caught in his intense gaze, Heejae's breath hitches. A deep blush warms her cheeks as she softly admits, "About you." A gentle smile touches Baek Doyoung's lips as he presses her hand against his cheek, murmuring how nice it feels. He pulls her impossibly closer, the air between them growing thick with unspoken tension. "Now try and guess what I'm thinking," he whispers, his gaze locking with hers. His voice drops lower, posing a breathtaking question: if she thinks he wants to make her his. Heejae's breath catches, her eyes widening in stunned silence as a deep blush floods her cheeks. The charged question hangs in the air, unanswered. Heejae yanks her hand away, her face burning as she turns her head aside. A dry, humorless laugh escapes Baek Doyoung, the sound shattering the fragile intimacy between them. The gentle mood evaporates into the rainy night. Taking a breath, Heejae makes a bold suggestion for them to stay with each other until dawn. His warm expression instantly cools. "You've got some nerve, Chai Heejae," he says, his voice cutting through the air. His eyes narrow, analyzing her with a sudden intensity as he asks why she is using him to cast herself away. A memory flashes through Heejae's mind, Baek Doyoung's older brother, his expression earnest as he pleaded with her to take good care of his sibling. Her resolve hardens. Ignoring Doyoung's piercing question, she challenges him right back, asking if he's not interested. Before he can answer, she grabs his collar, pulling him closer with surprising force. Rain pours down the towering glass facade of a hotel. A moment later, the door to a suite clicks shut, sealing them inside, away from the stormy night and the world outside. The air crackles as Baek Doyoung pulls Heejae into a deep, consuming kiss, her face flushing with unexpected heat. Just as the moment intensifies, her strength gives out and her body goes limp. She collapses towards the floor. Baek Doyoung, his coat now discarded, catches her swiftly. He looks down at her sprawled form, a knowing look in his eyes. "You were acting all tough before," he observes softly. Lying on the cold floor, dazed and disoriented, Heejae brushes a hand through her hair, avoiding his gaze. No, it's not like that, she insists, her voice trembling slightly. I just got a little dizzy for a second. Baek Doyoung gently cups Heejae's face, noting her weakness is from overworking herself. He leans in, his voice a low whisper, telling her not to be scared, at least not for tonight. When he moves to get her water, she quickly grabs his arm, her resolve hardening. I want to stay with you, she insists, her cheeks flushed. Without a word, he sweeps her into his arms, lifting her effortlessly. The air grows thick with unspoken feelings as their lips nearly touch. He pulls back just slightly, his gaze intense, questioning if this confusing push and pull is her game. Clinging to his broad shoulders, Heejae searches his eyes. That's you, isn't it? She asks, her voice barely a whisper. A confident smirk, one she has never seen before, touches Baek Doyoung's lips. You know me well, he replies smoothly. He leans in, burying his face in the delicate curve of her neck and inhaling deeply. Your scent. I like it. A tremor runs through her as she arches her back, confessing that she likes his, too. As the moment intensifies, his fingers move with purpose. Heejae's fingers trace the muscles of his back as a bitter realization floods her mind. In her past life, was she just desperately clinging to the wrong man, begging for an affection he was incapable of giving? The thought makes her falter. Suddenly, Baek Doyoung pulls back, his movements gentle as he eases her down onto the bed. Her eyes widen in confusion. I'm sorry, he murmurs, his expression soft with regret. I got ahead of myself. He leans in, not for another passionate embrace, but to place a chaste, tender kiss on her forehead. Baek Doyoung sits up abruptly, leaving Heejae staring in stunned silence. Let's just lie down and talk, he suggests calmly. The night is long. Her mind reels with confusion. He turns back, his gentle demeanor gone, replaced by a piercing intensity. His hand moves to cup her chin, tilting her face up to meet his sharp gaze. The tender atmosphere shatters in an instant. Now tell me, he demands, his voice a low, serious command. What were you plotting when you came onto me? His accusation hangs heavy in the air. Baek Doyoung's voice is low as he asks if she is plotting. A blush creeps up Heejae's cheeks as she quickly denies it, her hand resting on his shoulder. He surprises her with a soft confession, telling her that she is his first true connection. The words hang in the air, heavy with unexpected vulnerability. Seizing the moment, she leans in, her lips brushing against his skin in a tender gesture. Pulling back, her eyes gleam with a mix of sincerity and deception as she poses a dangerous question. If I said it's because I fell for you, would you believe me? Baek Doyoung's dark eyes narrow before he leans in, capturing Heejae's lips in a demanding kiss. He gently presses her back onto the bed, his touch firm yet tender as their connection deepens in the soft light of the room. Suddenly, he pulls away, a flicker of doubt in his gaze. He looks down at her, his voice low as he admits that he feels like he's become her pawn. The thought seems to disturb him, and he immediately shakes his head, muttering to himself, No, no way, dismissing the unsettling feeling. Lying beside Heejae, Baek Doyoung's mind drifts back. He admits to himself that, to be honest, he'd only intended to have a polite cup of tea and then leave. For someone like her, he always believed a more elegant and beautiful partner would be a better match. But then, a memory flashes in his mind, the first time their eyes ever met across a table. In that single, breathtaking moment, everything changed. He knew, with an unshakable certainty, that he couldn't ever bring himself to let her go. Baek Doyoung gently wipes a tear from Heejae's cheek. He pulls her into a warm embrace, drawing the covers over them. He whispers for her to get some rest, promising they can talk later. We have plenty of time, he murmurs, his voice soft and reassuring. But his comforting words trigger a painful memory for Heejae, a vision of herself standing utterly alone. His promise of time feels like a cruel joke, and in the silence of her mind, a single, bitter thought echoes as she pictures a cold, imposing building. A bus travels down a winding road, surrounded by the lush green of the countryside. Inside, Heejae's mind is already at her destination, a private art museum tucked away from the world. She knows exactly who owns this place. She remembers being told that Baek Doyoung always came here whenever he returned to the country. A memory flashes in her mind, a sleek, modern room where she stood a distance from him. In her past life, she had barely ever interacted with Baek Doyoung. But this time, everything is about to change. A painful memory surfaces of a time she tried to connect with Baek Doyoung's family. Standing before him, she mentions that she heard his older brother return to the country and suggests inviting him over. Baek Doyoung's reaction is swift and glacial. "Stay out of it," he commands, turning away from her with a dismissive sneer. Back then, even mentioning Baek Doyoung's name was enough to sour his mood, keeping Heejae completely in the dark. But now, clutching the museum brochure on the bus, a single, unsettling question echoes in her mind. Why did this Doyoung invite her here? Sunlight streams into the room as Heejae slowly wakes, stirring in the quiet space. Baek Doyoung is already gone, but a paper on the nightstand catches her. She sits up, her brow furrowed with curiosity as she picks it up. On the back, she finds a handwritten note from him. He explains he had to leave for a sudden business trip, but asks her to come to a specific place, promising there's something he wants to show her. Following his invitation, Heejae soon finds herself standing before a striking modern building nestled among lush, green trees. Heejae pushes open the heavy glass doors, stepping into the quiet solitude of the museum. The soft click of her heels echoes in the vast, white space as she wanders past the curated paintings, a solitary figure amidst the art. She moves through the silent halls, absorbing the atmosphere. Suddenly, she freezes, her steps halting mid-stride as she rounds a corner. The world around her bleeds away, replaced by an immense, crimson canvas. She stands utterly still, a small silhouette completely engulfed by the overwhelming sight before her. Heejae studies the canvas, a thoughtful expression on her face. This painting, she thinks, feels completely different from the others. While the rest of the art exudes a peaceful atmosphere, this one feels desolate and alone. "You're looking at the painting I hate most." A calm, masculine voice suddenly breaks the silence. Heejae flinches, startled by the unexpected presence. She whips around to see Baek Doyoung standing behind her, his dark eyes fixed on her. "Hello, Chai Heejae," he says with a slight smile, thanking her for coming. Heejae deflects his gratitude with a polite smile, insisting she should be the one thanking him for the invitation. Her gaze drifts back to the crimson artwork, a genuine curiosity softening her features. "It's a beautiful painting, though," she muses aloud. "Why do you hate it?" His response is a sharp, cold blade cutting through the quiet air. "Because it's a worthless piece of trash." Heejae flinches, her eyes widening in pure shock. His venomous words hang between them as the bright gallery seems to dim, replaced by a sudden, heavy shadow. "This painting," Baek Doyoung continues, his voice low and grave, "is a plagiarized work." Baek Doyoung explains that all the paintings are by unknown artists, which gives them a somewhat foreign feel. The word echoes in Heejae's mind. She touches her lip, a flicker of recognition in her eyes. This style feels familiar. A memory rushes back to her. Men loading countless paintings into a truck, emptying the house just after her father-in-law's passing. A chilling realization dawns on her. The artworks that vanished all those years ago bear a striking resemblance to the very pieces hanging on these walls. The name hits Heejae with an unexpected jolt. Baek Doyoung explains the museum was built by Baek Myohyun, the head of Baekhyun Group, his father. He watches for her reaction, asking if she recognizes the famous name. Her mind races, trying to connect the pieces. Why would a man with such wealth choose to collect only unknown artists and build a museum in the remote countryside? Baek Doyoung's gaze is intent, a soft smile on his lips as he asks for her theory. A faint blush rises to Heejae's cheeks as she replies that he must have been a great patron. "Who knows?" Baek Doyoung murmurs, his expression shadowed with a quiet sorrow. He admits he once thought his father was a great patron, but he was mistaken. He gestures toward a massive crimson canvas, explaining that it's a plagiarism of a Rothko painting, a secret his father knowingly hid away in the countryside. Heejae's mind flashes to the famous all-red artwork. Baek Doyoung confirms her memory, his tone growing heavy as he reveals that neither the original artist nor the one who copied him lived happy lives. A stark vision of sorrow spilling over into despair appears, a symbol of their tragic fates. Baek Doyoung's voice lowers, his gaze fixed on Heejae as he asks if she knows why the painter was unhappy. A soft, knowing smile touches his lips as he answers his own question, murmuring that only the person themselves would truly know. Before Heejae can react, he steps forward, his hand gently landing on her shoulder. He pulls her back against him, wrapping her in an unexpected embrace. Startled, she asks what he is doing. He explains that the original artist, Rothko, preferred his work to be viewed from 45 centimeters away. His proximity is deliberate, his embrace tight. Baek Doyoung's voice is a low murmur against her ear, suggesting they should also follow the artist's rule. A deep blush warms Heejae's cheeks as she stammers for him to wait. His hand holds her firmly against him as he asks what she thinks. Disappointed? No, it's not that. She whispers, her own hand rising to rest on his arm. As his warmth envelopes her, a chilling thought cuts through the haze. If she hadn't returned to the past, would he have simply lived on as if nothing happened? A vision of his face, haunted and cold, flashes in her memory. A cold, bitter certainty settles in Heejae's heart. He probably would have lived on just fine. Her focus shifts back to the crimson painting, her hand resting on his arm. She admits that the painting feels full of anger, an emotion so captivating she can't look away. Baek Doyoung's dark eyes watch her intently, his voice a low echo as he repeats her observation. Anger. The word triggers a flash of a memory, a dark, chaotic room where a young boy stands stiffly, watching a woman weep in utter despair on the floor. Baek Doyoung's voice is a low murmur, complimenting her good eye. The unexpected validation sends a jolt through Heejae. As she steps out from the gallery, his words echo in her mind. It was the last thing she ever expected him to say. Her already chaotic mood plummets as a cold drizzle begins to fall yet again. Just as she sighs in frustration, a car's headlights slice through the gloom. The window glides down, revealing Baek Doyoung. He dryly observes that it seems to rain every time they meet. Unsettled, Heejae just thanks him and tries to make her escape. Baek Doyoung's calm voice cuts through the sound of the rain. He explains that they're in the countryside where buses are rare, and at this hour, the last one has probably already left. A jolt of panic runs through Heejae. She fumbles for her phone, her heart sinking as a glaring notification pops up. Unable to find network signal. Utterly stranded, she presses a hand to her forehead in despair. He asks if she has a place to stay, but all she can manage is a weak reply about going to the bus stop, hoping against hope. As the cold rain soaks her clothes, Heejae's mind scrambles for a solution. Perhaps she can find a small shop and buy an umbrella. Suddenly, a memory floods her senses. The first time they met, when he gently draped his coat over her shoulders. His voice, a low murmur against the downpour, pulls her back to the present. "This reminds me of when I first met you," he says with a soft smile. Heejae looks up, her expression a mix of confusion and shock. A warm blush spreads across her cheeks. Before she can react, Baek Doyoung smoothly slips off his jacket and wraps it around her, pulling her into his warmth. He suggests she come to where he's staying, promising to call a driver for her from there. Huddled under his jacket, Heejae looks up with rain-soaked hair and flushed cheeks, asking where they are going. Baek Doyoung holds her close, his voice a low murmur against the downpour, assuring her it's nearby. She lowers her gaze, trying to convince herself that this is better than becoming ill. His response is disarmingly tender. "Don't worry," he says, a soft smile playing on his lips. "If that happens, I'll take care of you." He adds that he's used to it, guiding her through the rain toward a large, modern building in the distance. Rain pours down outside the secluded home, creating a soft, persistent rhythm against the glass. Inside, Baek Doyoung holds out a white robe for Heejae. He tells her to take it, explaining that the driver won't be there for a couple of hours and she should change out of her damp clothes. A deep blush creeps up Heejae's neck as she flinches, stammering that she's fine. But his gaze is gentle, insistent. He tells her she'll catch a cold and that a warm shower will help. Overwhelmed by his unexpected kindness, she finally accepts. Baek Doyoung's voice is soft as he tells her to get washed up and come downstairs. His offer to cook catches her completely off guard. He even asks if she has any allergies. Heejae's cheeks burn as she looks up at him, stammering that she has none. Confused by his domestic kindness, she clutches the robe and walks up the stairs. As she turns back, she sees him in the kitchen, already preparing a meal. But as he stands there, his gentle demeanor vanishes. His expression shifts into something cold and menacing, his face shadowed in a dark, ominous light. A single tear traces a path down Heejae's cheek as Baek Doyoung's voice cuts through the air. He calmly warns her not to go to the third floor, explaining that it's under renovation. Confused by the strange command, Heejae simply nods and hurries away. Sinking into the warm bath, she tries to quiet her racing thoughts. She muses that this must be one of the Baekhyun group's villas, yet it feels oddly bare. Unlike the main house, there are no paintings here. His words about the third floor only deepen the mystery surrounding this place. A name echoes in Heejae's mind, Gong Seong, the artist from the museum. The thought triggers a vivid memory, pulling her back to the time just before her marriage to Baek Doyoung was finalized. She sits opposite her future mother-in-law, a woman radiating cold authority. The older woman sips her tea, her gaze piercing as she confirms Heejae's identity. Unaware of the desolate future awaiting her, a younger, more hopeful Heejae smiles politely and introduces herself, eager to make a good impression on the matriarch of the Baekian group. In the memory, her future mother-in-law asks if she likes paintings. A younger, blushing Heejae eagerly nods, amazed at how many beautiful pieces adorn the walls. But the atmosphere chills instantly when her teacup clatters, spilling its contents. The older woman's voice drips with disdain, calling it a bad habit to look around someone else's house. She coldly compares Heejae's curiosity to that of an animal. Stung by the harsh words, Heejae flushes with shame. Tears sting her eyes as she lowers her head, murmuring a quiet apology. The memory fades, snapping back to the present. Heejae sinks deeper into the bath, the water rippling around her as she tries to bury the painful recollection. She tells herself firmly, "I should forget about it." Heejae rises from the water, wrapping a soft towel around her frame. The painful memory only makes her feel worse, a bitter residue she can't seem to wash away. Dressed in a plush robe, she pads out of the bathroom, but pauses, turning back to grab her phone from the counter. Her bare feet make no sound as she walks into the living area, only to stop dead in her tracks. Baek Doyoung stands in the kitchen, tasting something from a spoon. An unsettling feeling washes over her. This is strange. Neither before nor after their marriage had she ever seen him like this. A strange impulse moves her forward. "I'll help," Heejae offers, reaching out. Baek Doyoung turns, his gaze soft as he gently stops her, telling her to sit down since she's in a robe. Before she can react, he pulls her into a warm back hug, holding her close as he tends to the stove. The unexpected intimacy sends a flush through her. Flustered, she asks what he's making. He tells her it's chicken soup with potatoes. A genuine, bright smile lights up her face as she happily agrees. He chuckles softly, finding her reaction amusing, leaving her to wonder what's so funny. Baek Doyoung's voice is a low murmur against her ear as he teases her for being just like a kid, hovering in the kitchen. A soft blush blooms across Heejae's cheeks as she insists she only wanted to help, the protest a whisper against his chest. He releases her from his embrace, suggesting she find something else to wear while the soup finishes. He directs her to a room upstairs, and she pads quietly down the hall. But as she opens the door, she stops, bewildered. Before her is not a bedroom, but a study lined with towering bookshelves. Heejae finds a crisp, white dress shirt inside a drawer. Holding it up, she murmurs that while it's big, it should fit well enough. After letting her robe slip to the floor, she puts on the oversized shirt, which hangs loosely on her small frame. It feels huge, and she decides to roll up the long sleeves. As she adjusts the cuffs, her gaze sweeps across the room, and a quiet realization settles over her. Almost every volume on the towering shelves is an art book. Her fingers trail gently along the spines until they stop, recognizing one. "Ah, this is," she whispers, pulling the familiar dark book from its place. A heavy blush rushes across Heejae's face, her heart hammering against her ribs. This photo," she whispers, her amber eyes wide with disbelief as she stares at the phone. Just as her finger taps the screen, a sharp rap sounds at the study door. Baek Doyoung's voice cuts through the silence, asking if she's having trouble. Panicked, she shoves the phone behind her back, stammering that she has already changed. Before she can react, the door swings open. He steps inside, noting the oversized shirt before telling her dinner is ready. A warm breakfast sits on the table, but the air is filled with a quiet tension. Heejae offers a polite thank you, her eyes downcast. Before she can take a seat, Baek Doyoung moves behind her, his presence a sudden, startling warmth. He leans in close, nuzzling into her hair and murmuring that he's glad she likes it. His arm wraps possessively around her waist, pulling her flush against his chest. He tells her he made plenty, so she should eat well. A deep blush floods Heejae's cheeks. Overwhelmed, she whispers, "It feels like the first time we met." Baek Doyoung looks puzzled, questioning her unexpected words. Heejae clarifies, her cheeks flushed, reminding Baek Doyoung how he once pulled out her chair during their first blind date. A gentle, knowing smile spreads. across his face as he murmurs that he thought she was referring to something else. But his smile sends a chill through her. For a brief, startling moment, she sees the cold man from her memories. The scene changes, and Heejae now sits alone, her expression somber as she opens a book. As she parts the cover, several blurred photographs slip from between the pages, fluttering down onto the table. The photos scattered across the table depict a smiling couple. Heejae's eyes fix on the man, who strongly resembles the Baek brothers, and she realizes it must be their father, Baek Doyoung. But it's the woman beside him who makes her breath catch. She bears a startling resemblance to Heejae herself. Her mind flashes to the cold, sterile walls of the Baek family home, devoid of any family portraits. A single name echoes in her thoughts, Gong Seong. The soft clink of a spoon pulls her back as Baek Doyoung's voice cuts through her reverie. He observes that she's spacing out again, asking what she's thinking about so deeply. Heejae gently sets her spoon beside her bowl, her mind racing to find a safe topic. "I was thinking about the painting," she says, her voice steady. Baek Doyoung's intense gaze remains fixed on her as he asks what about it. "The piece we saw at the museum," she clarifies, her expression firming. "I don't think it was plagiarized." A slow, unsettling smile plays on Baek Doyoung's lips. He leans forward, resting his chin on his hand with a knowing look. "Why?" As Heejae opens her mouth to answer, a sudden, violent crash of shattering glass rips through the apartment. The explosive sound echoes from upstairs, and both of them flinch, their heads whipping toward the commotion in shared alarm. Heejae gasps, her eyes wide with shock. What?" she whispers, her body frozen. Baek Doyoung's face darkens as he rises from his seat. "I'm going up," he says, his voice a low, commanding rumble. "Stay here." He turns and heads for the stairs, his silhouette disappearing into the upper level. Suddenly, a woman's soul-piercing scream rips through the apartment. An icy chill snakes down Heejae's spine, and she trembles, her hand flying to her throat. Fear wars with a desperate curiosity as she quietly follows him. Heejae's hand lands on the railing as she quietly climbs the stairs, her bare feet padding softly on the steps. She freezes, her breath catching as a woman's raw, accusatory voice rings out from above. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this." Suddenly, the door is thrown open, shoving Heejae back against the frame. She stumbles into the room just in time to see the distraught woman lash out at the man before her. "Let go of me, Baek Doyoung," she screams. Heejae stares, utterly stunned. The man looks identical to Baek Doyoung. Heejae's mind spins, unable to process what she's seeing. The thought is a frantic whisper in her head. It can't be. The distraught woman suddenly collapses to her knees, her body racked with sobs. "Doyoung," she cries, her voice a fragile apology. "I'm sorry I ran away." She begs him, pleading desperately to just go back to Paris. Baek Doyoung's hard expression softens as he kneels beside her, placing a gentle hand on her trembling shoulder. "All right," he agrees softly. "Let's go to Paris." Tears of relief stream down the woman's face as she looks up at Baek Doyoung, a fragile hope dawning in her eyes. He promises to take her to Paris, where she can finally paint the thing she loves. He lifts her into his arms, and she rests her head against his shoulder, whispering her gratitude. For Heejae, the scene is a torment, unlocking a painful memory. She sees the ghost of Baek Doyoung's back turning away from her as she once pleaded, "Honey, I'll work hard." Her hand tightens on the doorframe. "Please," she begs the memory, "so let me." Overwhelmed by the echoes of her past desperation, Heejae quietly pulls the door closed, shutting out the sight. Heejae finds Baek Doyoung sitting by a bedside, his back tense as he watches over a frail, sleeping woman. The woman's face is drawn with exhaustion, her rest uneasy. His hand grips the sheets, a silent display of his turmoil. He finally turns, his dark eyes filled with a deep sorrow as he sees Heejae standing there. She moves closer, offering a quiet, comforting presence in the heavy silence. He gently takes her shoulders, his voice soft but strained. "You should leave," he says, his gaze heavy with unspoken pain. He leads her out, closing the door. A heavy padlock clicks shut on the door. Baek Doyoung's voice is low and heavy as he explains why. He tells Heejae the woman inside sometimes tries to flee from this world entirely, and he has to keep her secured for her own safety. The devastating truth hits Heejae. The artist they were discussing is her. A single tear escapes her eye as the realization washes over her. That's right, Baek Doyoung confirms, his back turned to her. He reveals this is the secret the Baekhyun group wants to hide most, then looks back, his eyes dark and intense. So what do you think that means? Baek Doyoung looks up at Heejae from the bottom of the stairs, his expression intense. He asks what she thinks this all means, telling her she now holds a powerful advantage. His words hang in the air, but Heejae's mind turns inward. She wonders what would have become of her if she hadn't ended her tragic chapter, if she had continued to live on. A chilling memory surfaces, her own form, still and lifeless on the cold floor. A tremor runs through her hand. She realizes she would have met a miserable fate. She commands herself not to tremble, her fingers clenching into a tight, determined fist. Heejae strengthens her resolve. She cannot allow herself to be so easily swayed again. She must focus on her path. A cold smile touches her lips as she turns back to face Baek Doyoung, whose own face is bruised and cut. She tells him she doesn't understand what he's saying and that he has the wrong person. Reaching out, she gently places her hand on his cheek. She insists that he doesn't truly know the person standing before him. His eyes widen slightly at her touch. He quietly replies that the same could be said for her. Her thumb gently traces the cut on Baek Doyoung's lip as she holds his bruised face. She asks if his visits always end this way. His dark eyes lock onto hers, his voice a low whisper as he says it's not necessarily the case. But Heejae's mind drifts to a darker time. She recalls the 10 lonely years she spent in that house before her story reset, knowing nothing. She never understood the truth about Gong Seong, nor the kind of man her husband truly was, a cold, imposing silhouette. Suddenly, his own memory flashes, a scene he never imagined he'd witness, a sharp strike across a face. Heejae's touch remains on Baek Doyoung's bruised cheek as she looks at him with a startling pity. "I feel sorry for you," she says softly, her voice filled with a strange, aching sincerity. She questions why he is the one carrying the heavy burden of his father's actions. Her words hang in the air, a sorrowful reminder of how his father's choices affected both her and Gong Seong. Suddenly, his expression hardens. Baek Doyoung snatches her wrist, pulling her hand away. "That's none of your concern," he says, his voice cold and final. As Baek Doyoung ends a phone call, he tells Heejae the driver will be there soon. "Wait!" She blurts out, her face flushed with emotion. He turns, a heavy look on his bruised face as he offers a soft apology. Confused, she asks what he could possibly be sorry for. "For everything that happened today," he answers, his voice filled with a strange finality. He then makes a stunning request, asking her to take out her phone and delete his number. Heejae stands frozen, watching in disbelief as he declares he will do the same. 3 months pass. In a bright dance studio, Heejae sits against the wall, watching a fellow dancer spin with a grace she cannot muster. Her mind drifts back to that night, to the feeling of Baek Doyoung's skin beneath her hand and the piercing look in his eyes. Lost in the haunting memory, her focus shatters the moment she attempts a move. Her ankle gives way with a terrible twist. A sharp cry escapes her lips as she crumples to the floor, clutching her leg in a wave of searing pain. A fellow dancer rushes to Heejae's side, calling out her name in alarm. "Are you okay?" she asks, her voice full of worry. Through the pain, Heejae insists she is fine, just exhausted from practicing day and night. Her friend scolds her gently, warning her to be careful with her performance so close. But a dark, looming shadow of Baek Doyoung fills Heejae's mind. She admits to herself that she gets anxious when she stays still, constantly checking her phone. He hasn't contacted her once since that day he told her to delete his number. A vivid memory overwhelms Heejae as she sits on the cold studio floor. Baek Doyoung's voice, cool and steady, remarks that she seems to have already picked a place for their farewell. Her own flustered agreement echoes in her mind. The memory is broken by her friend Ji-eun's concerned voice. "Heejae, is there something going on with you?" she asks gently, noting how down she seemed. Lately, she wonders if it's anxiety about graduation. Flustered, Heejae quickly denies it. "I'm not anxious about anything," she insists, but the betraying blush on her cheeks tells a different story. Heejae's thoughts drift to her friendship with Ji-eun, a bond forged back in middle school. But after her wedding to Baek Doyoung, they lost touch. A montage of her lonely 10-year marriage flashes through her mind. The isolation, the quiet suffering she endured. Because of her pride, she never told anyone, not family or friends, how difficult it was. The guilt stings her. Even now, she's still hiding everything. Interrupting her dark thoughts, Ji-eun suddenly stands. "Wait a second," she says, rummaging in her bag before offering a small bowl. "Here, eat this." Inside are colorful, round candies. A genuine, small smile finally breaks through Heejae's gloom. "Thanks, I'll enjoy it," she says softly. Ji-eun watches her with gentle concern, insisting they go home. "If you keep going," she warns, "you'll collapse." Heejae agrees with Ji-eun, deciding it's time to call it a day. As they prepare to leave, the studio door creaks open. A deep, smooth voice cuts through the quiet room. "Good to see you, Miss Heejae." Leaning against the doorframe is Baek Doyoung, a charming smile playing on his lips. Ji-eun immediately steps forward, questioning who he is to enter so freely. She turns to a blushing, speechless Heejae, asking if she knows him. The formal address, Ms. Heejae, echoes in Heejae's mind, a shocking departure from the man she remembers. A tall, imposing figure steps forward, and the women look up to see a man with dark, intense eyes and a faint, confident smile. "Yes, I'm Baek Doyoung," he confirms smoothly. Seeing Heejae's unease, her friend quickly steps in to diffuse the tension. "He's a friend," she whispers reassuringly. "Don't worry, he won't bite." At the word friend, Doyoung's pleasant demeanor instantly vanishes. His eyes darken, his smile twisting into something cold. Just then, another woman appears, a sultry, knowing look on her face. "It's been a while, Doyoung," she says. He meets her gaze with a sharp, mocking smirk. The other woman agrees, her eyes wide. His vibe is completely different. Heejae's mind spirals. This cold, cutting version of Baek Doyoung is a far cry from the gentle man she's been encountering. A memory flashes, him in the pouring rain, his expression dark and severe. Is this his true nature finally revealing itself? Her gaze darts to his wrist, but the sleeve of his suit conceals it, hiding the one clue she desperately needs to see. Looking up, she asks quietly, "What brings you here?" Doyoung's harsh demeanor vanishes in an instant. His eyes soften, and a gentle smile plays on his lips as he looks only at her. "I wanted to see you." Heejae's friend leans in close, her voice a hushed whisper. "I've never seen you with this guy before. What's your relationship with him?" Before Heejae can respond, the other woman answers with a knowing look. She explains that she once liked him and tried to get his attention, but he only pretended to be interested before disappearing. The friend's eyes widen in shock. Just then, Baek Doyoung's calm voice cuts in. "What are you two whispering about?" Both women flinch, but the sultry one meets his gaze with a defiant smirk, replying, "We're talking bad about you, obviously." Doyoung merely smiles, crossing his arms. "Guess I didn't treat you that well, huh?" The woman scoffs, her hands on her hips. "Shouldn't I be the one to decide if you treated me well or not?" Ignoring her completely, Baek Doyoung leans in close to Heejae, a teasing smirk on his lips. His voice is a low murmur meant only for her. "Is that right? Now I'm curious about your judgment." Heejae turns to her wide-eyed friend. "Ji-eun, you should head out before the subway stops running." As her friend starts to protest, Heejae gently takes her arm. "Don't worry," she says with a serene smile. "I'm going on a date." She glances back at Doyoung, a playful challenge in her eyes. "Right." His expression softens as he agrees without hesitation. Of course. The car glides through the city under a blanket of stars. Inside, Heejae sits rigidly, her hands clenched in her lap. A storm of suspicion rages within her, a maddening feeling with no proof to support it. She steals a glance at the man beside her, the question echoing in her mind. Is he truly Baek Doyoung? He breaks the silence, a soft smile playing on his lips as he drives. He remarks on how much she seems to care for her friend. Heejae answers quietly, explaining it's only natural. He chuckles. "You're young too, but you talk like an old soul." A chill runs through Heejae. That mocking tone at the end of his sentence, it's the exact same one her husband used to use. A wave of unsettling familiarity washes over her. But as she studies him, the differences are stark. Even his cologne is new, the familiar scent she knew for a decade completely gone. Noticing her gaze, Baek Doyoung leans closer. "If you like the scent," he murmurs, a sly smile playing on his lips. "Would you like to smell it properly?" Before she can answer, the car screeches to a violent halt, throwing her forward in shock. Baek Doyoung's voice is a low murmur. "Did I scare you?" he asks, noting she was lost in thought before announcing their arrival. Her breath catches in her throat as she looks ahead. Before them stands a familiar, towering building, the very restaurant from their first date. A faint, knowing smile plays on his lips as he asks why she's so shocked. "They're just here to eat," he insists, just like the first time. Her hands clench tightly in her lap. "Why did you bring me here?" she demands, her voice trembling. A knowing smirk plays on Baek Doyoung's lips. "I told you," he says, his voice a low murmur. "To eat and reminisce a little." His eyes study her intently as he asks if the day they first met meant something to her. The sharp click of his seatbelt unbuckling breaks the silence before he leans closer. Inside the restaurant, the atmosphere is suffocating. While Baek Doyoung cuts into a perfectly cooked steak, Heejae's plate sits untouched. He glances up. "You're not eating?" She offers a weak excuse about an upcoming performance, but her mind screams. How could she possibly eat now? A chilling smile curls Baek Doyoung's lips as he raises a piece of rare steak. He tells her not to push herself, casually mentioning she'll be quitting dance after her graduation performance anyway. The words strike Heejae like a physical blow. "What did you say?" she asks, her voice barely a whisper. He callously dismisses her life's passion, calling ballet a simple tool to appear impressive before marriage, something to be discarded once its purpose is served. Stunned into silence, she can only stare. Just then, her phone buzzes, offering a desperate escape from his suffocating presence. Heejae stares down at her phone, her breath catching in her throat. The screen illuminates with an incoming call, displaying a name that makes no sense: Baek Doyoung. The device vibrates insistently on the table, a jarring interruption to the suffocating silence. How can he be calling when he's sitting right in front of her? Across the table, Baek Doyoung leans forward, his dark eyes fixed on her, a chillingly calm expression on his face. He breaks the silence, his voice smooth and low. "You're not going to answer that." Her phone suddenly vibrates against the table, the screen lighting up with the name Baek Doyoung. Heejae's eyes widen, her mind racing. She wonders if it's actually Baek Doyoung calling her, and why he would choose this exact moment. A cold panic grips her as she questions if he knows her location. Across from her, Baek Doyoung's sharp, dark eyes watch her reaction intently. With a swift movement, she places the phone face down, silencing the call. He leans forward, a subtle smile playing on his lips. "I guess you didn't need to take it," he remarks softly. With a forced calmness, Heejae dismisses the interruption. It wasn't an important call. A subtle, knowing smirk plays on Baek Doyoung's lips as he leans back. "Is that so?" he questions softly, his dark eyes never leaving her face. He sets his cutlery down with a faint clink, dabbing the corner of his mouth with a napkin. "Then, let's continue our conversation." His intense stare makes her flinch almost imperceptibly. He notices immediately. "Why are you looking at me like that?" he asks, his voice smooth and unnerving. "Don't be nervous." Baek Doyoung leans across the table, his hand gently wrapping around her neck as his thumb caresses her jaw. "You poor thing," he says softly, his gaze intense. "You're really strange today." Heejae's heart pounds, her hand instinctively rising to his wrist. With a knowing smile, he asks, "Then what am I usually like?" He leans in closer, his voice dropping to a low, intimate whisper. "Let's keep it nice and easy. We've already gone through all sorts of things together." Her mind freezes. She doesn't know, but he seems to read her thoughts, countering softly. "That's not quite true." A waiter's voice cuts through the heavy atmosphere as he approaches with a bottle of wine. "Excuse me." Lost in her tumultuous thoughts, Heejae is visibly startled by his presence, prompting the man to ask hesitantly, "Is there a problem?" She flinches, quickly composing herself. Sorry. It's nothing." But as the waiter moves to pour, Baek Doyoung's hand gently stops him. "Let's make a toast," he suggests, his voice smooth. "A little wine won't hurt, right?" Heejae quietly objects. "You have to drive." "I'm staying in the penthouse tonight," he replies, his intense gaze unwavering. "And don't worry, I'll get you a driver." Baek Doyoung leans closer, his voice a low, suggestive whisper as he offers to show her around before she leaves. Confused, Heejae's hand trembles over her wine glass. "What do you mean?" she asks, her voice tight. He stands with a confident smirk, swirling the red liquid in his own glass. He explains the penthouse is the highest point, offering an amazing view, and teases her about being afraid of heights. The wine in her glass ripples. "As if," she retorts, a defiant smile finally gracing her lips as she lifts her drink. He observes her, pleased. "That's the first time I've seen you smile today," he says smoothly. "Do you feel like toasting now?" With a confident smirk, Baek Doyoung watches her, but Heejae's smile vanishes. She closes her eyes and softly refuses. "No, this is a wine I don't like." Her gentle demeanor crumbles as her eyes snap open, a sharp glare fixed on the ruby liquid. Her grip tightens on the glass, her internal thoughts a venomous whisper. The bottle, Crossing Yard Premium Merlot, triggers a painful memory, the sight of him tangled with another woman. The recollection is bitter, recalling his cold question from their past life. "Are you upset because I haven't been contacting you?" Baek Doyoung smirks, suggesting there's a place he wants to show her. Heejae's mind races with suspicion. A dark memory surfaces. After 10 years of marriage, she knows him all too well. While he wasn't a man of simple aggression, he possessed far more twisted and cruel methods. Realizing this could be an opportunity to gather information, her resolve hardens. She places her hand firmly on the table. "Okay, let's go," she agrees. The elevator doors slide open. Just before they step inside, she stops him. "Doyoung, I have something to say." He turns, his expression unreadable as he asks what it is. A newfound fire ignites in Heejae's eyes as she looks up at him. "I'm not going to quit anything," she declares, her voice a promise to herself. This performance isn't the end. It's the beginning. Baek Doyoung's smirk deepens, a dark curiosity dancing in his gaze. He questions her seriousness about ballet, finding her defiance more and more interesting. "I like it," he murmurs as the elevator arrives with a soft chime. But as the doors part, a forceful shove sends her lurching forward. Her scream echoes as she tumbles into the room. A man's hand clenches Baek Doyoung's collar, his voice laced with venom. "Don't you know your nonsense has its limits?" A dark, confident smirk twists Baek Doyoung's lips as he fires back that the same rule applies to him. He smoothly removes the man's grip, his voice low. "Let go. We have a guest here." Heejae stands frozen, her eyes wide with shock. She realizes she was here with them all along. She chides herself. Entering a place like this, she should have at least screamed. Baek Doyoung turns, gently holding her as he asks what's wrong. Baek Doyoung's gaze turns icy as he looks down at his rival. "You must have been pretty desperate," he says, his voice a low threat. With a sharp tug, he grabs the man's collar, slamming him against the wall. A dark smirk plays on Baek Doyoung's lips as he leans in close, whispering that this kind of approach is problematic. Frozen in place, Heejae can only watch. Baek Doyoung's voice drops, a chilling finality in his tone. "If you wanted to protect her," he warns, "you shouldn't have come here today." A heavy silence hangs in the air as the man tells Heejae she has just lost her chance to escape this family. His words are a final, chilling verdict. Heejae remains still, her expression a mask of composure as her mind races. She thinks to herself that she should be the one asking the questions. How can he make such bold threats to someone completely in the dark? His lips curl into a knowing, condescending smirk. He accuses her directly. "All I know is that you're trying to play me." His gaze is sharp and unwavering as he adds that her brother is probably the same. With a slow, condescending smile, the man leans back, finding the situation disappointing. His dark eyes glint with amusement as he suggests that to an outsider, it would look like they were running some kind of scheme. He then fixes his gaze directly on Heejae, his voice dropping as he accuses her of being the one who is truly hiding something. Heejae stares back, her own eyes widening in disbelief and fury. "What did you say?" she demands, her voice tight with anger. She rebukes him for dragging her here only to spout such nonsense. His smile vanishes. "Nonsense?" he repeats, his hand gripping the nearby furniture. He knows there's more to this woman than meets the eye. His voice drops to an intense whisper, demanding to know how she recognized Baek Doyoung so instantly. He reminds her of the moment in the elevator, questioning how a stranger could distinguish between them when even their own mother often couldn't. A bitter memory surfaces, a cold woman telling a young boy he was becoming just like some awful person. The man's expression twists with a deep, consuming disgust. He looks down, his lip curling as he mutters that the whole situation is utterly revolting. Heejae stands frozen, caught in his web of accusations. The man takes a slow, deliberate step toward Heejae, his shadow falling over her. He leans down, invading her space until their faces are mere inches apart. With unnerving calm, she informs him that if he truly wanted to pass himself off as his brother, he should have changed his cologne. A humorless laugh escapes him. "Impressive," he whispers, his expression twisting into a cruel smirk. His hand shoots out, grabbing her arm fiercely as he accuses her of secretly playing games behind a prim facade. "That's your story, not mine," a sharp voice cuts. Through the tension, Baek Doyoung appears, his eyes blazing with fury. He fiercely states that Heejae is innocent in this, and that their relationship is not what his brother imagines. With a derisive sneer, Baek Doyoung's brother challenges him. Really? Then let's find out. He turns his poisonous attention back to a startled Heejae, his voice a low whisper against her skin. He asks if she isn't curious about the differences between them, his words a venomous caress. Baek Doyoung's face hardens, his anger simmering just below the surface. A cruel smirk spreads across the brother's face as he makes a twisted proposition that the three of them could share her company together, letting the wicked offer hang in the silent room. Heejae's breath catches, her mind reeling from the twisted proposition. With a sickening smile, Baek Doyoung's brother repeats his offer, suggesting it would be an easy way for her to choose the better man. He leans in, his voice a venomous whisper as he admits he's been interested since they were alone in the elevator. Suddenly, Baek Doyoung lunges forward, violently yanking his brother away from her. His face is a mask of cold fury as he demands to know why his brother must behave this way. Unfazed, the brother simply sneers, insisting Baek Doyoung has no right to object. Heejae turns her head away, her expression hardening with disgust. She scoffs internally, finding his brother's question so vile it doesn't even deserve an answer. "I'm leaving," she announces, her voice trembling with barely controlled rage. She can't stand to be near them a moment longer. As she reaches for the elevator, Baek Doyoung's hand gently covers hers, stopping her. His scarred wrist is a stark, silent presence. "Let's go together," he insists softly, wanting to take her home. He leans in closer, his voice a low, earnest plea. "Allow me." Heejae's gaze remains fixed on the floor, her heart a tangled mess of confusion and lingering disgust as Baek Doyoung leads her into the waiting elevator. The doors begin to close, and from the opulent room, his brother's voice follows them, a low, menacing whisper. "Take care." He lounges on the sofa, a predatory smile spreading across his face. Inside the quiet elevator, the air is thick with unspoken tension. Heejae recalls Baek Doyoung's earlier promise, "Let's get along from now on," a sentiment that now feels chillingly complex. Inside the elevator, Heejae tries to push Baek Doyoung away, insisting she can go home by herself. But he gently refuses, his voice low as he says it's too late. He grows serious, admitting he needs to ask for her forgiveness. The word hangs in the air, stunning her. Forgiveness? Her mind races with bitter possibilities. Is he apologizing for showing up in another's place? For trying to ruin her life? In a frantic motion, she yanks his sleeve up, revealing the scar. He catches her hand, his gaze earnest. "I didn't do that to make a fool of you," he insists, his voice soft but firm. "There's only one reason I went to that meeting." Heejae's breath catches in her throat as she asks him what that one reason could possibly be. The scene shifts, plunging into a memory from 1 month before. In a dark, sterile office, Baek Doyoung slumps over his desk, the weight of a heavy burden pressing down on him. He recalls the cruel order that came from his family, an ultimatum that sealed his fate. They threatened to send his mother, Gong Seong, away to France, a place from which she would never return. His gaze falls upon the solution they presented, a photograph of Heejae. And that's where we'll leave them, for now. If this one hit you right, you already know the move. Tap subscribe. The next obsession drops twice a week, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. I pulled 2 more recaps just for you. They're on your screen right now. Pick your poison. This was Manhwa Dragon. Stay obsessed. I'll see you in the next one.